Part 52. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Womeng. Chapter 511. Survive the desperate situation and make everything possible. This is exactly what Dong Huang arranged, that crucial move. Su Liang was very surprised and pleasantly surprised by Qin Huanyu's appearance. The last time he met Qin Huanyu, I remember it was before setting off for the Holy Land. Although not too much time has passed. But during this period, too many events occurred, too densely. So much so that Su Liang had the illusion that his days were like years. Then. Didn't think too much, didn't ask too much. Su Liang stepped forward directly and hugged Qin Huanyu tightly. Feeling the familiar fragrance on Qin Huanyu's body, Su Liang felt his whole body relax. I'm very happy to see you again. Although he was not afraid in his heart, after all, he was taken into the depths of the demonic path by the strongest person in the demonic path. Su Liang's spirit was always tense and never relaxed for a moment. Now, seeing familiar people again, even if Qin Huanyu's strength is actually not as good as Su Liang's, it is not enough to change his current situation. But Su Liang also felt a sense of relief. Feeling the long-lost feeling of his own man. A smile appeared on Qin Huanyu's pretty face. Me too, husband, I miss you very much during this time. The two of them hugged each other tightly, no one said a word, and for a while, the atmosphere was warm. After a while, Su Liang let go of his hand and looked at Qin Huanyu curiously. Why did Dong Huang ask you to come here? I have already said that I am here to help my husband. Qin Huanyu's beautiful eyes were smiling, and she caressed Su Liang's cheek with her jade hands. I am very happy to be able to help my husband. Nonsense. Su Liang felt a little headache. You are considered the devil now, and I am the righteous one. If you have too much contact with me and are discovered, what will you do? Among the original demon sect, with Qin Huanyu's strength, it was really impossible to leave. Su Liang didn't care about the righteous and evil ways, but he didn't want his wife to be in any danger. Don't worry, husband, I am safe now. Qin Huanyu shook her head. Husband, just stay here with peace of mind and do what you want. Leave the rest to me. Please don't worry, husband. I still want to live forever with my husband, so how can I be in danger here? Say it. Qin Huanyu let go of Su Liang and slowly backed away. The emperor may come back at any time, so I have to leave. When I have the chance, I will come and see your husband again. Say it. Qin Huanyu tapped her jade foot, flew over the wall, and disappeared. Looking at the direction Qin Huanyu left, Su Liang sighed. What on earth was Dong Huang thinking that he let Huanyu get involved in this kind of thing? It's too dangerous. I hope Huanyu will be fine. After leaving Su Liang's side, Qin Huanyu looked back with nostalgia, then turned around and left firmly. She was indeed arranged here by Dong Huang, and her purpose was to help Su Liang conquer Ji Hongchen. Only in this way can Su Liang have a glimmer of hope and the right path have hope of victory. And for this, where Su Liang couldn't see, Qin Huanyu had been doing her own thing. For example, those elders and masters who came to provoke before were because of the news spread by Qin Huanyu. She naturally knew that those people were no match for her husband and could never go wrong, so she made this arrangement. Just to give Su Liang and Ji Hongchen a chance to perform. Volume 1 Chapter 467, Winning over the Demon King starts with me. And now. She was about to arrange another opportunity. After sending Qin Huanyu away, Su Liang sat alone in the courtyard, thinking seriously about what had happened recently. And just then, Ji Hongchen fell from the sky and landed directly in front of Su Liang. It's noon, it's time for lunch, said. Ji Hongchen placed the food box in his hand on the table and laid out all the contents. Can be followed immediately. But she had no intention of eating, and she didn't even bring her own bowl and chopsticks. He just sat aside coldly, staring at Suliang without blinking. I specially asked the kitchen to cook it. Eat more. Hear this. Suliang glanced at the food on the table, and his expression changed a little. Immediately. After smelling the taste, I took out my chopsticks, picked up some, put it in my mouth and tasted it. Puff. Suliang spat out the stuff and asked in disbelief, "Is this what the original demon sect will give you?" He finally knew why Ji Hongchen stopped eating. These things are so unpalatable that even Suliang finds it difficult to swallow, let alone Ji Hongchen, who is the emperor. Certainly. The so-called unpalatable taste is actually compared with Suliang himself. As a chef from the most powerful sect in the demonic Dao, these dishes actually taste good, but they are far inferior to Su Hao's delicious standards. What's wrong? Ji Hongchen was stunned for a moment, his beautiful brows furrowed slightly, filled with murderous intent. Could it be that someone poisoned this meal? Humph, you have attacked the people I brought several times, are you looking for death? Said. Ji Hongchen couldn't help but stand up and fly away. You wait here, I'll help you vent your anger. See this. Suliang hurriedly stopped Ji Hongchen and explained, no one poisoned it, I just think it tastes bad. Huh? Does it taste bad? Ji Hongchen didn't understand. Picking up Suliang's chopsticks, he didn't care whether Suliang had used them before. Ji Hongchen directly picked up a chopstick, put it into his mouth, and tasted it carefully. No problem, it always tastes like this. The majestic demon Dao Emperor, what you have been eating before is actually this kind of thing. Suliang was speechless and held his forehead. Thinking about it carefully, it was really a bit miserable. Certainly. In fact, these things in front of him are already considered to be of good craftsmanship, but Suliang doesn't like them. Standing up, Suliang walked directly towards a room in the yard. I remember that there was the kitchen, and there were some ingredients in it. Wait for me here for a while, and I'll make you something to eat, which will improve the food. Need not. Ji Hongchen just wanted to refuse. But she didn't know what came to mind, and she stopped mid-sentence. Sitting back down, Ji Hongchen waited patiently for Suliang's delicious food. Just for a moment. Suliang then brought out several plates of different delicacies. Call. Putting the last bowl of soup on the table, Suliang let out a sigh of relief. There are not many kinds of ingredients in this yard, and they are not fresh anymore. They are barely usable. If possible, please ask someone to bring some fresh ingredients to me, and I can make something delicious for you. To this, Ji Hongchen didn't comment, just picked up the chopsticks, picked up a little bit, and stuffed it into his mouth. Next moment, Ji Hongchen was stunned. What a delicious treat! The food is crispy and fragrant in the mouth. Several different ingredients are mixed together, but each has its own texture and taste, and they are perfectly blended together, like a grand performance. In an instant, Ji Hongchen moved his index finger. One mouthful after another, Ji Hongchen couldn't stop at all. No wonder he said the previous ones tasted bad. With this kind of craftsmanship, how could he still be able to appreciate the previous ones? This moment. Even Ji Hongchen felt that what he had eaten before was really hard to swallow. After clearing the food on the table, Ji Hongchen put down his chopsticks, picked up the bowl in front of Suliang, filled a bowl of soup, and drank it in small sips. I just felt warm all over my body, and an indescribable sense of satisfaction appeared that I hadn't seen for a long time. Call. Taking a deep breath, Ji Hongchen subconsciously looked at his slightly swollen belly. After eating, I felt full for the first time in a long time. Look at the mess on the table again. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Wo Meng. Chapter 512. Ji Hongchen's pretty face turned red. Did you actually eat so much? Do you still like it? Suliang smiled gently at the side. There are still some ingredients in the kitchen. If you feel it's not enough, can I make some more for you? No. Ji Hongchen shook his head and pretended to be calm. I'll go get you some food. She felt a little embarrassed when she said this. She had no intention of eating in the first place, so she didn't bring her own bowls and chopsticks. But who knew that the food he made was so delicious that I couldn't control myself and finished the food directly. Using the bowls and chopsticks that should have belonged to Suliang, and eating what Suliang had cooked for him, Ji Hongchen's behavior could not be overstated. How dare you look directly at Suliang? No, I'm not too hungry. Suliang smiled and shook his head. He vaguely felt the changes in Ji Hongchen. If we talk about her previous domineering mode, her clumsy teasing was a bit stiff, as if she had some purpose. Then what she said now came from her true feelings. Inadvertently, Suliang seemed to have opened a small gap in Ji Hongchen's closed heart. Night. Suliang sat under the candlelight, holding a pen and paper in his hand. After occasionally thinking, he would write and draw, scribble and delete, nodding with satisfaction from time to time. And just when Suliang was immersed in it, a gust of breeze blew by, and immediately, a beautiful figure sat quietly opposite him. This beautiful figure is none other than Ji Hongchen. Looking blankly at Suliang's serious look, Ji Hongchen seemed to be immersed in it and couldn't bear to be disturbed. After a long time, he said, "What are you doing?" Suliang was stunned for a moment, then came back to his senses and said with a smile, "It's just a random drawing. Do you want to see it?" Said. He handed the thing in his hand to Ji Hongchen. Ji Hongchen took a glance and saw various strange shapes on it, as well as countless data lists, which made her confused. It seems like a blueprint for something? Ji Hongchen didn't understand, but he also understood that this was not a request for help or a leak of information. Then, Ji Hongchen felt relieved and shook his head. "No, I'm very relieved about you." Immediately, standing up, Ji Hongchen disappeared, leaving only one sentence, "It's already late at night, go to bed early." Hear this. Suliang shook his head and laughed. I obviously felt relieved after reading it and confirming it, so why should I say I am relieved? And this is indeed not a secret, just some designs of clothes. Suliang ignored Ji Hongchen and continued busy with his own affairs. Throughout the night, the candles in Suliang's room were not extinguished. Early the next morning, when Ji Hongchen came to Suliang, what he saw was Suliang holding a luxurious dress and appreciating it with satisfaction. "Where did you get the women's clothes?" Ji Hongchen frowned slightly and asked. "I made it. Those drawings you saw last night are these." Suliang pointed to the drawings on the table, then traced the clothes on Ji Hongchen from a distance. "Well, it should fit. What are you going to do?" Ji Hongchen's pretty face turned cold and asked again. "See if it fits, so I can modify it." Suliang spread his hands. "After all, I made it for you, and there was no measurement data before, so there will inevitably be some inaccuracies." "You said, this was made for me." Ji Hongchen was startled and a little confused. "Why? Why do you want to make clothes for me? Why?" Suliang thought for a while. "If you have to give me a reason, do you think you will look good wearing this?" He touched his chin and said, "I see that you don't have many clothes, and they don't quite match your temperament. As an emperor, you still have to have the appearance you should have. You must not lack clothes that suit your temperament." However, these words made Ji Hongchen completely silent. Is he praising me? Moreover, he actually made this dress for my own good? It's been a long time since anyone cared about me like this. In the magic world, caring about this emotion is as if it never existed. For a while, this gave Ji Hongchen a complicated feeling. "I do not need." Ji Hongchen shook his head and wanted to resist. "Give it a try, what if it's a good fit?" Suliang smiled and stuffed the clothes into Ji Hongchen's hands. You won't lose anything if you give it a try, right? After another period of silence, Ji Hongchen reluctantly said, okay. Immediately. With a wave of her hand, Suliang was driven out of the room. After a while, Ji Hongchen walked out of the room, making Suliang's eyes light up. I saw. At this moment, Ji Hongchen is wearing an OL suit. Outside the white shirt, there is a black formal suit. The clothes are very slim, making Ji Hongchen's taller and more proud figure, and her waist even slimmer. Further down, it was a black short skirt, also slim and tight, showing off all the soft and upright silhouette behind her. The plump and slender beautiful legs are wrapped in black silk, and the frosty snow in them is faintly visible, extending all the way down to the jade feet wrapped in black high-heeled shoes. The pretty face is decorated with a golden frame, adding maturity and intelligence. Ji Hongchen, after putting on this outfit, majesty, domineering, coolness, luxury, all kinds of temperaments are all reflected, making people unable to help but kneel down under those exquisite jade feet. Very perfect. Suliang couldn't help but praise and exclaimed, this is how the demonic emperor should be. Really, perfect? Ji Hongchen asked, confused. As the demonic emperor, people in the world have always only commented on her as bloody, cruel, and cruel. Stunning, perfect. She hasn't heard this kind of adjective from you for a long time, and no one dares to say it to her. And now, the young man in front of her reminded her again of her former pride. Thanks. Ji Hongchen said softly, turned and left. She at this moment, because a young man had complicated emotions and was extremely confused. Seem. The closed door of the heart was once again opened a little by this young man. Even if it's just a little bit, it's still an extremely rare achievement. And all this, even Suliang himself didn't realize it. At this moment, Suliang was packing away the design drawings on the table, feeling a little emotional. As expected of me, it turned out to look so good without any measurement data. Rest first. I'll make a few more in my spare time. Not to mention, Ji Hongchen looked pretty good in the clothes she designed. In the room, Suliang held a huge piece of paper, writing and drawing, enjoying himself. What are you doing? Ji Hongchen moved forward curiously and looked at the piece of paper in Suliang's hand. On the paper, something like a path was drawn, winding and twisting, but it was divided into different grids, and each grid had different content written on it. A game that can be played by many people. Suliang said without looking back, I'm really bored here by myself, so I have no choice but to play some games like this to pass the time. It's just that a game played by several people, but played by myself, is a bit lacking in fun. While talking, as if he thought of something, Suliang's eyes flashed, why don't we play together? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Wo Meng. Chapter 513. Childish. Ji Hongchen just sneered, your cultivation has reached the peak of immortality realm, and you may break through at any time. You can be considered a strong person. It's okay if you don't think about how to practice and make breakthroughs, but you're still addicted to games. Oh, you have to balance work and rest. There is no point in just practicing hard. Suliang didn't care about Ji Hongchen's words at all. He took her hand and pressed her next to him, come on, let's play for a while first. It's just a pity. This game is more fun when there are more people. It's just the two of us, so it's a little less interesting, but it's still okay. Said. Suliang picked up the dice carved out of a wooden block and threw them on the chessboard at will. The two dice add up to a total of 10 points. This represents me on this board. Su Liang picked up a chess piece and placed it at the starting point. Then he pointed to the number on the dice and said, "This represents the number of steps I want to take." Said. Then he picked up his chess piece and walked 10 steps, but happened to step on a trap. Go back 5 steps, well, this is a punishment. When the chess piece stops, whichever square it enters, the punishment will be carried out. These are the rules. The one who reaches the finish line first will win. The rules are not complicated. Do you understand? Certainly. The punishment on this chessboard is only limited to the chessboard. Most of them are a few steps back, a few rounds of stagnation, or at most, returning to the starting point. He didn't dare to resort to those outrageous punishments like those of his master. By then, if Ji Hongchen got there, wouldn't he kill himself directly? That's it? Ji Hongchen was very disdainful. What's so fun about this? You'll know after playing it. Su Liang was very confident. Are you coming first? Good. Ji Hongchen nodded, picked up the dice and threw it out. Immediately. Volume 1 #Chapter 468 Ji Hongchen's Abnormality. Looking at the movement of his pieces on the chessboard, his pretty face darkened. 2 steps back. Only 5 steps in total. Is there something wrong with your game? It's a matter of luck. Su Liang spread his hands, then picked up the dice and threw it out. Then, his face turned darker. I only took 7 steps out in total, but I still had to take 5 steps back. This time, he was even further behind than Ji Hongchen. Just now, what kind of trap was in my mind to set so many traps? Humph, you are trapped in a cocoon. Ji Hongchen snorted softly, and his face immediately looked better. He looked like he wanted to smile, but in order to maintain his character, he had to hold back. You can laugh if you want, I don't mind. Su Liang had a dark face. How could I do this? Ji Hongchen waved his hand. His character still had to be maintained. Immediately, Ji Hongchen threw the dice out again, and it magically reached 12. But that position is the reward for another round. Another round, 12 again. At this moment, Ji Hongchen was far ahead. It seemed that Su Liang had no chance of catching up. Huh, sure enough, this game is simple and childish. It's easy. I'm going to win. Ji Hongchen crossed his arms and raised his neck with a look of disdain. The outcome is not yet known until the end. Su Liang smiled lightly and played the game on his own. Then, in the next round, Ji Hongchen faced the punishment of returning to the starting point. I could only stare in stunned silence, gritting my teeth as my chess piece returned to the starting position. This time, Su Liang was in the lead. Continue. Ji Hongchen gritted his silver teeth and was very dissatisfied. After a while, Su Liang made the winning move and won directly. Oh, I won, I really accepted it. Su Liang said quite proudly. Although it's just a game, being able to defeat the Demon King is already very impressive, right? It's just a victory, what's there to be proud of? Ji Hongchen had a sullen face and shouted, continue, continue, this time, I will definitely turn defeat into victory, /. After a while, the game ended, and Ji Hongchen put his hands on his hips, feeling proud. Humph, you see, the final winner is me. You and I are tied now, but we still want to continue. Su Liang didn't panic. Of course continue. The sun was setting and the two of them had been having fun here all day. Another game was over. Ji Hongchen suddenly woke up and looked at the sky outside. Why is it dark? After playing all day, why can't it get dark? Su Liang spread his hands. From the beginning, he still needed provocation before Ji Hongchen was willing to continue. Later, it was almost Ji Hongchen who took the initiative. I've been playing games with you all day. Ji Hongchen said in disbelief. He couldn't believe that he had such a childish moment. However, that kind of simple happiness and joy stayed in her heart, allowing her closed mind to open up a little more. Looking at Ji Hongchen's leaving figure, Suliang waved his hand. Continue tomorrow. Let's see how I can beat you. Ji Hongchen responded subconsciously, but suddenly woke up and left as if running away. Holy Mountain, in the city. Qin Binjao and other girls all gathered in the courtyard, but none of them had any energy. Several days have passed, and I don't know how Mr. Lang is doing. Ying Kao's voice was low, and his heart was full of worry. Lang Jun, it must be okay. I think it's better for us to kill him directly and rescue Liang. Tan Kinja frowned, her eyes slightly red. That's a demonic way. I really can't imagine how Liang will be treated if he stays there. Okay, let's get ready and leave now. Wan Qing, who had been silent all this time, nodded. Suliang was taken away in front of her eyes. She couldn't bear it anymore. However, Qin Binjao said at this time. Master, Sister Wan Qing, don't worry too much. Suliang will be fine. You girl, don't even try to persuade us. Tan Kinja said calmly. My disciple didn't advise you. Qin Binjao felt that she was innocent. Since Suliang was taken away by the demonic emperor, nothing will happen to him. Hear this. All the girls frowned and asked, why? Among everyone present, Qin Binjao was the first to follow Suliang. Logically speaking, he is also the one who knows Suliang best. Oh, as long as it's a woman, Suliang will be fine. Qin Binjao was full of confidence. The most urgent task is to improve ourselves. Whether it's to bring Suliang back or to deal with future events. Qin Binjao said seriously to the girls, we all have to improve our strength as soon as possible. Do you still want to watch Suliang being taken away in front of us next time, and there is nothing we can do? These words made all the girls silent. How could you still think so? The person you love is taken away in front of you, but you can only watch this kind of thing. It only takes one time, and it is enough to impress you. When Suliang was taken away, the deep feeling of powerlessness in their hearts was still unforgettable to them. If you can't even protect the one you love, what does that mean? Especially Wanking. The cultivation strength of Qin Binjao and others is not enough to support them in such a battle. Even if they take action, the outcome will not change. But Wan Qing herself had actually fought with Ji Hongchen. And he also saw with his own eyes that his master was taken away in front of him, but he was unable to do anything, not even able to stop it. Binjao is right. Wan Qing nodded. If I were stronger, maybe I could keep my disciple this time. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Womeng. Chapter 514. We should really improve ourselves now. Said. Wan Qing stood up directly and walked out. I'm looking for a place to practice. We all have our own paths. I can't get involved, but you have to work hard. Don't worry, Aunt. Tan Kinja nodded with a determined expression. In the past, Suliang had just entered the path of cultivation. At that time, Suliang still needed her to protect him. But later, slowly, Suliang's cultivation improved rapidly, and she gradually became weak and unable to protect her man. And this time, I couldn't help at all. It seemed that it was time for me to work hard. Immediately, everyone dispersed and began their own practice. In a wilderness outside the holy mountain, Qin Binjao crushed a jade pendant and waited for a moment. Immediately, the space in front of her was directly distorted and shattered. Next moment, a beautiful figure stepped out from one of them and came to Qin Binjao. It is the Lord of Yinghuo. What did you come to me for? Volume 1 Chapter 469, The Land of Ten Deaths, The Demon King's Cold Torture. The Lord of Yinghuo glanced at Qin Binjao lightly and asked. Sulang was taken away, but I didn't help at all. Qin Binjao said in a somewhat depressed mood. Although she was very confident in her husband, Qin Binjao also couldn't let go of this matter. Okay, I know. The Lord of Yinghuo nodded, non-committal. I want to become stronger. Qin Binjao said seriously, I don't want to be unable to help the next time Sulang is in danger. Since being taught by the Lord of Yinghuo, Qin Binjao's main practice is the power of time and space. And in the world today, the one who is most proficient in time and space is none other than the Lord of Yinghuo. Nature. As one of his teachers, the first thing Qin Binjao thought of was the Lord of Yinghuo. This training may be very dangerous. Are you sure you still want to continue? The Lord of Yinghuo did not refuse, but asked calmly. For Sulang, I am willing. Qin Binjao also replied with the same seriousness. It seems that you have made up your mind. The Lord of Yinghuo nodded. But suddenly, he stretched out his hand and made a stroke in the space in front of him. Immediately, a space passage leading to the location area is formed like this. Go, this is where you will practice next. The Lord of Yinghuo said calmly, you have only two purposes for practicing this time. Survive and find a way to come back by yourself. Good. Qin Binjao just nodded concisely. Next moment. Taking one step forward and stepping into the space channel, there was no worry or fear at all. At home. Tan Kinja returned to her room and took out all the things her mother had given her. As one of the aristocratic families, how could the Tan family not have its own unique practice method? Only. Based on the previous relationship between Tan Kinja and her mother, concubine Tan would not take the initiative to give it to her. But this time, before she returned to Shengjing, concubine Tan handed all these to her and asked her to practice well. Alien, wait for me. Tan Kinja took a deep breath and concentrated on it. I promise you, this kind of thing will never happen again. In the Holy Land. 11 He Ying brought Wan Qing and Jing Meng here. There are many techniques and martial arts in the Holy Land. Even I have not seen them all. 11 Haing introduced, the two of you are now at the pinnacle of the world in cultivation. The cultivation methods of others no longer mean much to you. So, from today on, you should stay with me. You can read the classics in the Holy Land at will. If you have any questions about cultivation, you can ask me at any time. Thanks. Wan Qing thanked him. Need not. 11 Haing shook his head and looked in the direction of the original demon sect. Actually, I did it for him. In the demon-suppressing dragon vein. Ying Kaoj came here, took a look at the calm foreign passage, and went deep into it. Her current tyrannical posture was achieved by relying on luck and so on. When she was in the demon-suppressing dragon vein before, she felt the affinity here with herself. Therefore, for Ying Kaoj, practicing here will give you the best results. Mr. Lang, wait for me. Ying Kaoj murmured softly, going deeper and deeper. At home. Mu Qingqian packed up her things and found Tao Yao Yao, the Holy Sun and I are going to a secret realm that should improve our cultivation and strength. Do you want to come? Want? Tao Yao Yao nodded without hesitation, and then added, I'm telling you, I went with you because of Brother Sul Yang, and it has nothing to do with you. I know. Mu Qingqian nodded, I invited you because of Senior Brother Su. After one person said a word, the two of them were already showing signs of fighting. The original demon sect. Walking out of Sul Yang's room, Ji Hongchen looked at the setting sun, feeling a little confused. Actually, we spent another day playing at his place. Really, they are just some simple games. Although they are not all repeated, what fun is there? Why did you become obsessed with it? Shaking his head, Ji Hongchen returned to his room. But just sat down. Then a raging demonic energy surged out of her body, trying to confuse her. Get away. Ji Hongchen's expression changed slightly, and she held the red rope around her waist tightly with her jade hands. I don't want to be a devil, what can you do to me? However, this time, the effect of the red rope seems to have weakened a lot. Seeing it, Ji Hongchen was about to be filled with this demonic energy and completely confused. Damn it, could it be that I've been too lazy recently, so this happened? Ji Hongchen murmured to himself, constantly fighting against this, trying to keep himself awake, or is it because of him? Sudden. Ji Hongchen's expression changed slightly as he thought of a possibility. A whisper that seemed to come from nothingness sounded in Ji Hongchen's ears. The demonic energy filled the air, seeming to completely envelope Ji Hongchen. At this time, all kinds of things are trying to make Ji Hongchen be confused. His demon heart will fall, and he will transform into a demon from then on. As for Ji Hongchen, this method is almost successful. Even if she cultivates to Tongxian. At this moment, I could only use the technique of meditation and mindfulness, relying on the red rope around my waist to keep myself awake. The red rope around her waist can imprison the devil's heart and allow her to remain true to herself. It has endless magical uses. It is very useful on weekdays and has saved Ji Hongchen several times. But at this time, it didn't have much effect on Ji Hongchen. It seems that this effort is in vain. Thinking carefully about everything he had experienced recently, Ji Hongchen planned to find out the root cause of this change. And soon, she locked Sul Yang. All the changes in her body were all caused by Sul Yang. Without Sul Yang, her life would be the same as usual. And the changes that happened immediately confirmed her thoughts. When she was still a girl, she met a young man, and with a trembling mind, she felt that that person was the one she was destined for. And that young man, regardless of his cultivation, strength, or talent, was a perfect match for her. Then, my villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Wo Meng. Chapter 515. Ji Hongchen decisively expressed his feelings. However, what she got in exchange was the young man's decisive refusal, and then the young man went to another stunning beauty. This huge setback almost damaged Ji Hongchen's Taoist heart, and his foundation was almost damaged by the Taoist elimination demon leader. I don't know how many years later, Ji Hongchen once again met an amazingly talented and beautiful person. The moment he saw him, he discovered that that person was the boy who rejected him in his previous life. Then, unwilling to give up, Ji Hongchen once again expressed his intention, and his attitude was even much tougher than before. But what he got in exchange was the man's merciless rejection again, and the two even had a big fight. After being rejected repeatedly, he fought again, and once again, Ji Hongchen suffered wounds that were difficult to heal. And it was countless years later. Ji Hongchen saw that person again. Only, at this time, that person was already reincarnated for the third time. Same as the previous two times. Ji Hongchen, who still refused to admit defeat, approached him without hesitation and had a tough attitude, asking the other party to surrender to him. In exchange, there was only a firmer rejection and a shocking battle. After this time, Ji Hongchen was rejected 3 times and suffered a severe blow, leaving very serious consequences. It was at that time that she swore that if she met that person again, she would take him away by force and make her surrender to her, and then she would reject him mercilessly. I also want him to taste what it feels like to be rejected repeatedly. How could Ji Hongchen get rid of this feeling that a person who was destined for 3 generations ended up like this? And just right. Ji Hongchen saw that person again, it was Sul Yang in this life. All kinds of memories echoed before her eyes, still fresh in her mind, gradually dissolving her resistance and efforts. Sul Yang, I will never let you go in this life. Ji Hongchen murmured in a low voice, his expression firm again. After a long time. In the room, the demonic aura fell, and Ji Hongchen finally persisted. However, compared with her before, Ji Hongchen was not unchanged at this moment. At least, the heart that Suliang had gradually opened became cold and firm again as the memory resurfaced. Tenderness. Faced with someone who has rejected him for 3 lifetimes, do I still need to stay with him? No, not needed. If you don't let him taste the pain, how can you resolve your anger? Then, without having time to wait until the next day, Ji Hongchen immediately found Suliang. Why are you back? Suliang seemed a little surprised and put down the bowl and chopsticks in his hand. Just in time, I just made a meal and plan to eat it. Just wait, I'll get you a pair of dishes and chopsticks, let's go together. In the past few days when I was getting along with Ji Hongchen would come to have dinner almost every day at noon and evening. Suliang had long been used to it, and even prepared a pair of bowls and chopsticks for Ji Hongchen. Just now, after he finished cooking, he was a little confused as to why Ji Hongchen hadn't come yet. However, what Suliang didn't expect was no. Ji Hongchen shook his head, his voice cold and ruthless. Follow me, I have something I need you to do. Now. Suliang was stunned for a moment. How about eating something first? It doesn't have to be this way. Ji Hongchen shook his head, and in an extremely domineering manner, he directly mentioned Suliang and flew out. In just the blink of an eye, it's thousands of miles away. Flying above a rift valley, Ji Hongchen let go of his hand and said, down there is a dangerous place with many dangers. You should stay in it for the next few days. As for life or death, it doesn't matter to me. Listening to Ji Hongchen's words, Suliang was completely stunned. In the afternoon, I was playing games with myself while shouting and yelling. Why, when it was night, I just turned against the person and refused to recognize him. Oh, by the way, Ji Hongchen is a demon, and he is also the strongest demon emperor. This kind of turning one's back on others is quite easy for the devil to do. Then it'll be fine. Lei Zhang appeared at his feet, dragged Suliang up, and slowly landed on the ground. Suliang looked around, but felt a chill rising. Deep in the Rift Valley, it was originally dark and cold, but now that it was night, this feeling was even more obvious. Especially the mottled blood stains on the ground and the decaying bones that can be seen at any time further illustrate the danger here. Because those white bones are not the bones of ferocious beasts. Look around. There was no way back, and not far ahead, a looming jungle could be seen. On both sides, there were vines covering half of the mountain wall. Blood vine. Suliang seems to have seen records of this kind of thing. The veins on the branches and leaves are blood red, and even the vines have blood red veins. This kind of thing is extremely aggressive. If a living creature passes by, it will definitely bind it and swallow up all its blood, leaving only withered bones. So, is it a little unsafe for me to stay here? Suliang swallowed hard. Looking at the scale of the blood vine, even the transcendent realm might not be able to handle it. Although Suliang's combat power is comparable to that of the Transcendence realm, after all, he is still in the immortality realm. In such an environment, if you don't pay attention, your body may be gone. Ji Hongchen, I made you food, clothes, and even played games with you, but you actually brought me to a place like this. Suliang sighed, turned around and ran away. Just kidding. A blood vine of this size is something he can't handle. And there seem to be special rules here. You can't fly with a sword at all, let alone escape from above. And Ji Hongchen, who threw him down, had disappeared at this moment and had obviously left. So, what if I don't run away? Are I waiting to die? At the moment Suliang took action. The blood vines covering the mountain wall also moved quickly, and they all followed up with a rustle, following them like a shadow. Both heaven and earth will be destroyed. Suliang shouted softly, then turned around and took action. The energy of all things was condensed in his hand, forming an existence as big as a bullet, and was struck out. Each blow is enough to destroy countless vines. However, the scale of this blood vine was so huge that even if Suliang tried his best, it would not be reduced at all. See this. Suliang took action again, and the sword energy turned into a large airtight net, covering all the blood vines and crushing them to pieces. However, there were too many blood vines and they were extremely aggressive. Suliang's attacks were not very effective despite successive attacks. Less than a moment. Suliang was completely swallowed up by the blood vines all over the mountains and plains. Above the sky, Ji Hongchen saw the scene and sneered, "Oh, it looks like that." But while talking, the previous scenes with Suliang appeared one after another in her mind. Once some cracks are opened, there is no possibility of polymerization. Even because of the revival of those memories, Ji Hongchen was cruelly torturing Suliang in various ways. But in the end, the warmth and happiness that Ji Hongchen got during the past few days of getting along could not be erased. She began to worry about Suliang's death. She clenched her hands tightly and wanted to take action. But right now, thunder and lightning burst out from the blood vines. Immediately afterwards, boom! There was an explosion, and Suliang flew out of it. While he was still in the sky, he turned around and struck out with his sword. Volume 1 Chapter 470 How can I let you die as long as I am here? Under the sword of the holy object Reizo, thunder exploded, and countless blood vines fell to the ground, obviously lifeless. It's just you who want me to stay here, but there's still a long way to go. Suliang chuckled lightly, no longer caring about Xueteng who dared not follow him because he was severely injured, and turned around to leave. See this. Ji Hongchen's pretty face became calmer and her hands relaxed. It seems that he has some tricks. In that case, let's pay more attention to it. Just because I don't want him to die here. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Womeng. Chapter 516. After walking a little further, Suliang saw a rapid river in front of him. See this. There was a smile on Suliang's face. Although he was not injured in the battle just now, it was still very draining, and Suliang was also a little thirsty. Just right. You can replenish the water and clean it a little. With this thought, Suliang approached, squatted down, and was about to hold out the water. But the next moment, boom! In the river, a huge shadow suddenly jumped out, wrapped Suliang and took him down. It wasn't until he got deep into it that Suliang came back to his senses and carefully observed the existence in front of him. That is a huge and extremely fierce fish. It looks ferocious, has hard scales, a sharp mouth and fangs, and its eyes alone are much larger than Suliang's entire body. And the aura of this fish is even more terrifying. It has actually reached a state of transcendence. More importantly, this is water, the home ground of such beings. No matter how powerful Suliang is, fighting here will be somewhat disadvantageous. God knows how long and big this thing is. Suliang's expression became solemn and he took Reizo in his hand, but did not activate the lightning in his hand. He is also not sure whether the thunder and lightning passing through the water will cause harm to him. But right now, Suliang's expression changed slightly. In this water, there are countless small whitebaits as small as dust. The little whitebait was so small that it moved with the current, as if blending into the water. Even Suliang didn't notice it immediately. And now, the little silverfish actually gathered around Suliang, rushing to attack Suliang, trying to devour Suliang. To this, Suliang had no choice but to use his true energy to isolate these little whitebait. Although doing this would cause a great loss of true energy, Suliang had another way. We can only decide quickly. Suliang said softly and slashed out with his sword. After a long time, on the surface of the water, a handful of blood floated. And that's until this time. Ji Hongchen, who had been nervous, finally relaxed. There are some tricks. Finally I can't help but save you. After a long time, Suliang climbed up to the shore and lay on the ground, not wanting to move any more. The battle just now was particularly difficult because it was in the water and there was no place to stay or support for exerting force. But fortunately, Suliang finally killed the fish with his sword and was not injured. But after all, it still consumes a little too much. Suliang sighed, stood up with support, found some dry branches, and lit a fire. It was getting very late now, and Suliang originally planned to continue advancing, but after this battle, he felt that it was better to take a rest. 2 consecutive battles, the difficulties were different, and Suliang was really exhausted. I don't know what dangers are waiting ahead, so I'd better cultivate myself and let my true energy recover for a while before exploring further. However, there is no food here. Apart from the big fish, there are only those small whitebait left in the water. You can't eat it at all. It's really a pity. But after all, I am out of town, and I have no choice but to endure it. Moving closer to the bonfire, feeling the warmth of the flames, Suliang sat down cross-legged to restore his physical strength and true energy. But just when he was getting better, waves of rustling sounds rang in his ears. Suliang opened his eyes and looked slightly gloomy. He didn't know when he was surrounded by hundreds of silver giant wolves. The steps of these silver wolves were very light, and they seemed to have some way of concealing their aura, so they managed to elude Suliang's perception. Be reasonable. The individual strength of these giant wolves is actually not very strong. At best, they are just out of the ordinary. But it's still a bit tricky to have hundreds of them appear together. Especially, Suliang has not fully recovered yet. Really, can't you even take a break? Standing up with Reizo in hand, Suliang sighed, facing the group of giant wolves, his eyes gradually became determined. Come on, it's not that easy to capture me. Throughout the night, Suliang encountered danger 7 or 8 times in succession. And each time was more dangerous than the last, and several times it was full of dangers. With no time to rest, Suliang's physical strength gradually weakened and his condition deteriorated. In the end, his true energy was almost exhausted. But facing such a situation of death and no life, Suliang remained determined and never gave up, no matter how dangerous the situation was. It is this kind of perseverance. From the worry and contempt at the beginning, Ji Hongchen gradually attracted his attention. Perhaps, his strength is not as good as mine. But this kind of perseverance is rare in the world. It seems that it is not impossible to recognize you. Ji Hongchen's eyes flickered with a different emotion. Work hard, but don't die here. Certainly. As long as I'm here, how can I let you die? The place of 10 evils is well deserved. In just 3 or 2 days, Suliang could no longer see his original appearance. No way. It's really because it's a little too dangerous here. First, there was the blood vine when entering, and then, one after another, vicious fish in the water and wolves besieged him. Suhahao managed to deal with the wolves with great difficulty, before he had time to take a rest. What followed was the attack of countless ferocious beasts. Many kinds of ferocious beasts gather together, and looking at their auras, none of them are lower than the immortal realm. The most powerful ones have reached the peak state of transcendence and sea of suffering. Even many of them are enemies of life and death. But when facing Suliang, they all united and attacked Suliang together. After the previous battles, Suliang really had no strength left. They could only fight and retreat, and it was not until the evening of the next day that they finally killed all the ferocious beasts. However, just when Suliang wanted to select the edible parts and cook them a little to restore his strength, countless ferocious birds appeared in the sky, rushing to attack Suliang, as if Suliang was their life and death enemy. To this, Suliang could only support his tired body and resist with difficulty. During the sword light, his true energy was almost exhausted. Only then were all those ferocious birds finally killed. And this time, inadvertently, Suliang had already broken into the jungle. Volume 1 Chapter 471, The Duplicitous Demon Emperor, The Game of Destruction begins. The jungle was extremely quiet, and no ferocious beasts or birds could be seen. There were only huge trees and weeds and wildflowers blooming lushly on the ground. Looks peaceful and safe? But the silence in this place where countless lives should exist is the biggest problem. Especially, push aside the weeds and fallen leaves under the trees, and you can clearly see the bones among them. See this? Suliang immediately understood the danger and wanted to leave here. Can be followed immediately. The trees in the entire jungle seemed to come alive. The roots of the trees broke out from the ground, and the branches swung towards Suliang. Even the weeds and wildflowers on the ground grew crazily and wrapped around Suliang, obviously intending to kill Suliang here. The power of these things is actually not as good as the blood vines Suliang saw before. But the number is really too much. The danger of the entire forest, just ask if you are afraid. In particular, Suliang does not have the fire attribute attack as a special attack. Then, my villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Womeng. Chapter 517. He had no choice but to fight his way out of it bit by bit, suffering some injuries. After, Suliang was even attacked by a swarm of insects, which covered the sky like clouds and mist. There was also a puppet-like humanoid being who fought with Suliang. Finally, exhausted and with scars all over his body, Suliang broke out of this place of 10 evils. And at this moment, Ji Hongchen is waiting for him outside. The moment he saw Ji Hongchen, Suliang lay down directly on the ground and recovered his body. Please let me rest for a while. Even if there is anything else waiting for me, you have to wait until I have rested enough before talking. But Suliang himself also discovered that fighting all the way would actually be of great benefit to him. At least, Suliang's cultivation level has increased a lot in the series of battles that challenged the limits. Before, he was at the peak of the immortality realm, but now, he has touched the threshold of the transcendence realm. As long as you have enough understanding and accumulation, you can break through the obstacles at this level at any time. And looked at Suliang in front of him. Ji Hongchen's expression was cold and domineering, but there was some recognition in his eyes. That's it for today. After you go back, take a good rest and recover from your injuries. Say it. Yashao picked up Suliang and took him flying in the direction of the original demon sect. In a blink. Then he returned to the room where Suliang was before. Boom. Throwing Suliang on the ground, Ji Hongchen said, "You can clean it up yourself. I will bring you medicine later and heal your injury quickly. Don't think it's just this one time. Hear this." Suliang spread his hands and didn't care. Ever since he came to the original demon sect, Ji Hongchen had been extremely polite to him, which actually made Suliang feel a little abnormal. Really? Now with this kind of torture, everything is normal. Subsequently, after delivering the medicine to treat the trauma, Ji Hongchen never appeared again. Waited for another moment. A little head poked his way in from outside Suliang's door. He looked around and saw that Ji Hongchen was not there. Then he breathed a sigh of relief, opened the door and walked in. "It's Qin Wanyu." And when she saw Suliang's condition on the bed, she exclaimed, "Husband, you What's wrong with you? It's hard to describe in words. Suliang shook his head and smiled. He didn't care about his injuries. Instead, he pointed to the medicine beside him and said, I'm a little tired now. I really can't move. Please help me. Being able to help your husband is what I hope most. Why should your husband be so polite? Qin Wanyu moved lightly, walked to Suliang's side, picked up the medicine, and moved gently. Soon. Under this soft and boneless body, as gentle as jade, and a little bit cold, Suliang completely relaxed and fell into a deep sleep. In the room, Ji Hongchen was lying on her side on the bed, her expression still cold, but her eyes kept flickering, showing the unrest in her heart. He clearly rejected him for 3 lives, causing himself to be severely hurt. But I actually. Do you recognize his perseverance? And are you still worried about whether he will die? What a joke. No, that's not right. I recognized his perseverance just to give myself a reason to tame him. And that kind of worry is actually the worry that if he dies, there will be no place to avenge his 3 lives. Well, yes, that must be the case. Ji Hongchen convinced himself. However, how could you deceive the slight throbbing in your heart? But right now. Boom. A burst of breath suddenly rose from a place very close to the original demon sect. After carefully sensing it, Ji Hongchen discovered that this aura seemed not much weaker than hers. And this breath was coming towards her. Who dares to challenge me on my demonic territory? Ji Hongchen's pretty face immediately turned cold. Are you really looking for death? How could Ji Hongchen, the Demon King, allow such a thing? Then, Ji Hongchen immediately stood up and rushed towards the direction of the burst of aura. However, when she arrived, she found that there were only 3 women who came to provoke her. And that aura is not weaker than his own. It was exactly what the silver-haired woman who stood in the leading position exuded. How dare you provoke me on my demonic territory? Have you thought about how you are going to die? The silver-haired woman spoke softly, her voice was ethereal and filled with loneliness. We are here not to provoke, but to start a game with the Emperor. Game. Hearing this, Ji Hongchen immediately thought of Suliang's games, absurd and childish. If you want to die, I will make it happen for you. The Emperor cannot refuse. The silver-haired woman was not in a hurry. I am the Lord of Yinghuo, please remember this well. I don't need to remember the name of the dying person. Ji Hongchen said indifferently, moreover, do you want me to play games with you? Is your wishful thinking too serious? Whether it is wishful thinking or not, Emperor Zun will tell you once you try it. Lord Yinghuo's voice was calm and indifferent. Under the original demon sect, I planted a demon seed. As long as I activate it, the entire original demon sect will be eroded by the demonic energy and turn into a real demon that has lost its reason. In this case, is Zun Huang willing to start this game with us? Hear this. Ji Hongchen frowned slightly. Even if you want to find the demon species buried underground, it will take a lot of time given Ji Hongchen's cultivation strength. After all, she didn't know how to escape from the earth, so she could only open it bit by bit and search for it carefully. And in this little time, it was enough for the Lord of Yinghuo to detonate that thing 100 times. Only. I have been in the original demon sect recently. How did this person put things in without telling me? She didn't know. With the power of time controlled by the Lord of Yinghuo, it is too simple to open a space passage that leads directly to the underground and put things in. However, Ji Hongchen still refused. With a contemptuous smile on her pretty face, Ji Hongchen said nonchalantly, I am the Emperor of the demonic path. Since I am the demonic path, being ruthless and ruthless should be a must in your opinion. In that case, where do you get the confidence to think that this emperor would care about a mere primitive demon sect? The original demon sect emperor may not care, but what if he is added to it? As the Lord of Yinghuo spoke, he waved his hand, and a stream of true energy condensed into the appearance of Sul Yang. What a joke, do you think I care? Even so, I can take him away. Don't think about it, he's in our hands. As soon as these words came out, Ji Hongchen's pretty face immediately turned cold. How come you didn't know when you were taken away? These times together, the happiness and relaxation appeared in Ji Hongchen's mind little by little. Ji Hongchen closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Okay, whatever you want to play, I will accompany you. Hear this. Zai Mei and Yaksha Tong, who were behind Lord Yinghuo, all laughed. The game of death begins from now on. The original demon sect and his survival are all in the hands of the emperor. The words have fallen. The Lord of Yinghuo took a step back, but Zai Mei came to her original position. Looking at Ji Hongchen solemnly, Zai Mei said, "You have to defeat me and Yaksha Tong first before you have a chance to fight with the Lord. If you lose, then watch with your own eyes the death of the original demon sect and his death." Are you threatening the emperor? My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Wo Meng. Chapter 518. Ji Hongchen raised his eyebrows. Immediately. Take action suddenly. During the roar and explosion, Ji Hongchen punched out with a roaring wind. It had the power to destroy mountains and rivers, and rushed straight towards Zai Mei. If she were to receive this punch unprepared, even if Zai Mei was a transcendent and powerful person, she would definitely be seriously injured. However, just when this punch was about to hit Zai Mei, in front of Zai Mei, an invisible protection suddenly appeared. This feeling is the power of space, and it is the Lord of Yinghuo who has taken action. Ji Hongchen naturally discovered the Yinghuo Lord's move. Frowning slightly, Ji Hongchen sneered, "Why, since it's a duel, can you still take action for your subordinates?" The emperor took action before the announcement was made. This is considered a violation of the rules. The Lord of Yinghuo said calmly, "Now, the battle has begun, you two can take action." The words just fell. Zai Mei suddenly took action, using all her transcendent strength, and punched Ji Hongchen. The strength gap between her and Ji Hongchen was really too big. If she tried her best to attack, she might not have a chance to attack at all. However, even so, Zai Mei only hit Ji Hongchen once, and was knocked away by Ji Hongchen. She vomited blood and fell to the ground, unable to get up again. But this time, Ji Hongchen frowned. "Oh, you actually took the opportunity to condense the demonic energy into your hands and concentrate it on my body. What, are you planning to defeat me in this way? Don't you know that I, the Emperor, am originally a demon, and if I get the demonic energy, I will become even more powerful?" To this, the Lord of Yinghuo shook his head and didn't say a word. He just motioned for Yaksha Tong to take action. Lord Yinghuo understands Ji Hongchen's situation very well. Otherwise, how could such an arrangement be made? Same. Yaksha Tong only made one move and was defeated by Ji Hongchen. However, just this time, there was a majestic demonic energy surging in, which actually aroused the demonic heart that Ji Hongchen had finally suppressed. At this moment, Ji Hongchen still didn't understand that these people in front of her were trying to make her lose control. "You will regret it if you act recklessly like this," Ji Hongchen said solemnly. She is strong enough now that she still has reason. If she waits until her demonic heart gets out of control, is there really anyone in this world who can be her opponent? Even Holy Lord 11 Hang may not be able to deal with it. I'm afraid that by then, the world will be destroyed by her hands. However, facing Ji Hongchen's doubts. However, the Lord of Yinghuo just stepped forward and made a gesture of taking action. "As my opponent, I have recognized you. This emperor still needs your approval? What a joke." Ji Hongchen laughed coldly, rushed forward, and started a battle with the Lord of Yinghuo. However, it was the same as when dealing with Zi Mei and Yakshatong before. Every attack of the Lord of Yinghuo was actually filled with strong demonic energy, which condensed into Ji Hongchen's body and aroused Ji Hongchen's demonic heart. Just for a moment, Ji Hongchen couldn't suppress the throbbing in his demonic heart. However, while being distracted to suppress the demon heart, the battle between Ji Hongchen and the Lord of Yinghuo turned out to be evenly matched, and no one could do anything to the other. Just when Ji Hongchen was planning to temporarily let go of the suppression and go all out to deal with the Lord of Yinghuo. However, the Lord of Yinghuo took a step back and jumped out of the battle. This time, it's a tie. If the fight continues, it will be difficult for us to determine the winner. Are you a little too confident in yourself? Ji Hongchen's eyes were as cold as a knife. Continue. No, the first stage of the game is over. However, the Lord of Yinghuo opened a space channel and escaped into it with Zi Mei and Yakshatong. Immediately, he even snapped his fingers. Next moment, in the original demon sect, bursts of trembling began to appear. Accompanying it is a surge of demonic energy, like a raging flame. Shameless guy, actually broke his word. Ji Hongchen immediately became angry. You didn't win this game, so the promises we made before no longer count. The Lord of Yinghuo shook his head. The second game of destruction has begun. I have aroused the demon seed buried deep in the ground. Can I stop it, or can I watch it die in front of my eyes? It's all up to you. Seeing the Lord of Yinghuo leaving, Ji Hongchen had no intention of stopping him. In a short period of time, given her current situation, Ji Hongchen had no confidence in taking down the Lord of Yinghuo. During this period of time, the original demon sect may have been destroyed countless times. It doesn't matter if the original demon sect is destroyed, but if he dies in it, that would be troublesome. This is the thought. Ji Hongchen couldn't help but feel worried. Actually, in her current state, if she was rashly exposed to the majestic demonic energy, this demonic heart would burst out of the ground in an instant, and there would be no way to stop it. But, for him, what does it matter? I don't want him to die here, just because I'm worried that if he dies, I won't be able to take revenge. Volume 1 # Chapter 472, Out of Control Demonic Heart. Well, yes, that's it. Ji Hongchen comforted himself, tapped the ground with his jade feet, and flew in the direction of the original demon sect without stopping for a moment. Come to the place where the demonic energy is about to burst out. Ji Hongchen mobilized his true energy and blasted hard towards the ground. Now that the demon is about to be aroused, she doesn't have to worry about it anymore. Boom! After a burst of roaring explosions, the originally flat ground was now like an abyss, so deep that it was impossible to see the bottom. However, it was at this moment the demonic species exploded. See this? Ji Hongchen didn't have time to think too much and directly took action to suppress the demonic energy that was about to escape. How could this be so? The true energy came out majestically, and with all his strength, Ji Hongchen muttered to himself with difficulty. Her original purpose was to break the ground and take away the demon species directly. However, at the moment when the ground collapsed, Ji Hongchen felt like something was broken. It is like a seal. With her level of cultivation, how could she not sense the key to it? The Lord of Yinghuo clearly used the entire ground as a seal to suppress the demon species. However, Ji Hongchen's behavior of breaking the ground and trying to take the demon species away actually destroyed the seal and attracted it. And now, under the full suppression, Ji Hongchen had no energy left to do anything else. And as time goes by, her true energy will become weaker and weaker, and in the end, it will be out of control. Certainly. Ji Hongchen has another way. Use herself to absorb all the demonic energy. However, At that time, her demonic heart will definitely lose control and riot. What should I do? At the same time, Sul Yang, who was sleeping in the room, was awakened by the movement and stood up suddenly. Is this Ji Hongchen's aura? Sul Yang sensed it for a moment and frowned. What happened that made Ji Hongchen want to take action with all his strength? After thinking for a moment, without any clue, Sul Yang shook his head. Never mind. It's better to go and take a look. Even if you can't help, you can still know what happened. Then, Sul Yang immediately stood up, flew with his sword, and in the blink of an eye, he was at the place where Ji Hongchen was. Why are you here? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Womeng. Chapter 519. The moment Ji Hongchen saw Sul Yang, he was stunned. She remembered that the Lord of Yinghuo said before that Sul Yang was caught by them. If it weren't for this, how could she agree to participate in any death game? I've been here all along, what are you doing? Sul Yang was a little confused. Hear this. Ji Hongchen reacted immediately. He was actually deceived by the Lord of Yinghuo. In a desperate situation, the Lord of Yinghuo tried to cover it up again, so Sul Yang naturally failed to discover the presence of Sul Yang's aura. Now it seems they had never touched Sul Yang at all. But now, it is not the time to care about this. Let's go. Ji Hongchen shouted hurriedly. She already showed signs of being unable to hold on any longer. Quick, go as far as you can. Otherwise, when the demonic energy breaks out, Sul Yang will never survive. Is there danger here? Sul Yang frowned. Don't worry, I'll work out a solution with you. There's absolutely no way I'll leave you alone. You. Ji Hongchen sighed helplessly, feeling a little moved in his heart. Never give up on yourself. How long has it been since anyone said this to yourself? It seems that it has never happened before. But the next moment, Ji Hongchen's expression changed. I can no longer support myself. Looking at Sul Yang with complicated eyes, Ji Hongchen sighed. That's all. Just think it's for him. Then, Ji Hongchen let go of the suppression and absorbed the burst of demonic energy with all his strength. Moment. The red rope around her waist was dyed black. Ji Hongchen's demonic heart, which had been suppressed for a long time, could no longer be controlled and was completely out of control. Stand up slowly. With demonic energy rising all over his body, Ji Hongchen looked indifferent, as if he had no emotion at all, and stretched out his hand towards Sul Yang from a distance. Next moment, the majestic true energy condensed from her hands, and she was about to take action. Is this a rampage? Just like the shadow of the past? Sul Yang reacted immediately, his expression changed drastically, and he subconsciously wanted to avoid it. The strength gap between him and Ji Hongchen was really too big. If Ji Hongchen really wanted to attack him, he might not have any power to resist. But the next moment, before Ji Hongchen could take action, he was suddenly restrained in place by something invisible and unable to move. But even so, the scarlet eyes, the increasingly crazy expression, and the crazy struggling posture all showed Ji Hongchen's danger. Even the invisible thing that bound her was almost broken free. You have to find a way to recover her quickly, otherwise, not only you, but also your ladies will be in danger. Sul Yang could not imagine how terrifying the out-of-control Ji Hongchen was. But what should we do? Sul Yang frowned and observed carefully, and soon found some clues. The churning demonic energy in Ji Hongchen's body seems to be the source of her loss of control. In this case, if she finds a way to remove those demonic auras, will she be able to recover? Moment. Su Yang remembered the method he used to separate his luck from Yang Kaoj. Then, Su Yang immediately stepped forward and slowly held Ji Hongchen in his arms. Immediately, under the full force of the Taoist nature, Su Yang quickly entered the transformation state where heaven and earth are one, and wanted to get rid of these strange evil spirits. But the next moment, the demonic energy peeled off from Ji Hongchen's body actually wrapped around Su Yang. How is this going? Su Yang was confused, but he didn't dare to struggle at all. He could feel that even if he struggled a little bit, I was afraid that everything he had done at this moment would be in vain. That being the case, then go ahead. Even if he is entangled by demonic energy, his body will die and his path will disappear. But at least Ji Hongchen is still alive, and so are his girlfriends. After getting along with each other for a few days, Su Yang knew very well that Ji Hongchen seemed domineering, but in fact, he also had a kind and gentle side. Let her die in front of his eyes? Su Yang is really unable to accept it? Then, after concentrating his attention, Su Yang's eyes were quickly swallowed up by darkness. But the next moment, he suddenly opened his eyes and found that he seemed to have entered another world. This is, the world of mental images. Su Yang murmured to himself, with a clear understanding and thoughtfulness. It was different from the mental image world of 11 Hang that Su Yang saw before when he was in the Holy Land. Ji Hongchen's mind here is like a world. The whole world is filled with dark evil energy. Just being in it makes people feel very uncomfortable. And, covered by demonic energy, visibility was extremely low. Even if Su Yang was at the peak of the immortality realm, he could only see 1 meter in front of him. This way, it is really difficult to find Ji Hongchen in this world. However, to this, Volume 1 Chapter 473 3 Generations of Love, Will You Still Reject Me in This Life? Su Yang, however, was not depressed at all, or even wanted to give up. Can't find it? How is it possible that even if he travels all over the world, he still has to find where Ji Hongchen is? At this moment, what Su Yang did was not just for his girlfriends. It's also for Ji Hongchen, for the demonic emperor who actually has the softest place in his heart. Then, in the almost invisible world of mental images, Su Yang embarked on an arduous journey. Every step you take, countless demonic energy poured towards Su Yang, and Ruiao's whispering sounded in Su Yang's ears, as if to pull him into the same situation as Ji Hongchen. Can this? Su Yang, however, acted as if they did not exist, suppressed them all with great perseverance, and ignored the past. Then, even if his cultivation reached the sea of suffering and even the spring of life, the demonic energy would be unbearable. Su Yang suppressed it with his cultivation at the peak of immortality realm. However, continuing like this is not a long-term solution after all. Even if Su Yang's perseverance is far beyond ordinary people, over time, he might be completely swallowed up here. There was not much time left for Su Yang. But at this critical moment, in front of Su Yang, the surging demonic energy condensed, and a monster that looked like Ji Hongchen actually appeared. This monster is almost exactly the same as Ji Hongchen, both in face and figure. The only difference is, those scarlet eyes revealed only endless madness. It seems that I'm close to Ji Hongchen. Su Yang was very optimistic and chuckled. Trapped in the world of mental images, Ji Hongchen is probably just like the shadow of his former self, without any strength to fight. In other words, the monster in front of Su Yang at this moment is actually just the instinctive resistance of the world in his mind. If Su Yang hadn't already gotten close to Ji Hongchen, how could there be such resistance? Perhaps, after killing this monster, he can see Ji Hongchen. But Su Yang's current situation is really not optimistic. This surging demonic energy almost drowned Su Yang. If he just kept going all the way, Suliang could still hold on. But once the battle started and he was distracted, even Suliang might not be able to suppress this demonic energy. Go down. But my villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Wo Meng. Chapter 520. We've come this far, how could we give up? Suliang chuckled and slowly pulled out the long sword from his waist. Come on, since we are about to find Ji Hongchen, how can I let you stop me here? Say it. Suliang actually took action first and slashed at the monster with his sword. In an instant, the sword light was bright, and it disappeared in a flash. The sword intention rising into the sky, carrying the extremely sharp sword energy, actually split the dark demonic energy directly. Even a monster like Ji Hongchen, which was condensed from demonic energy, could not match this sword, and eventually disappeared into thin air. See this? Suliang breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, this is not Ji Hongchen's true body. Otherwise, it would be really hard for Suliang to resist with a strength comparable to that of 11 Hang. Available immediately. Suliang's face turned pale, and a faint demonic energy rose up from his body, making it difficult to control. No time to think too much. Suliang immediately used the dual destruction of heaven and earth and the law of nature. With the energy of all things and the power of heaven and earth, he could barely suppress the evil energy. It seems it's time to speed up. Suliang muttered to himself, looking for the direction he had gone before. After a long time. After opening a cloud of demonic energy that was as solemn as a curtain, Suliang finally saw Ji Hongchen. However, at this moment, Ji Hongchen was locked tightly by chains transformed into demonic energy, unable to move. And the strong demonic aura around her was flowing toward her in strands. Even on that soft and delicate body. At this moment, black demonic energy was rising, looking extremely terrifying. Stepping forward, Suliang tried to tug on the chain formed by the condensed demonic energy, and then frowned. This thing seemed to be condensed by the demonic energy extending from Ji Hongchen's body. It was extremely strong and difficult to damage. If you want to destroy it, you can only transfer all the evil energy from Ji Hongchen's body. But how could Suliang know the transfer method? Suddenly, Suliang thought of a picture. That was the scene when he transferred his luck away from himself and Ying Kaoch, but was snatched away by Mozi. Because of Mozi's responsibility, Suliang's action of cutting off his luck became smoother. Maybe I can try to transfer the demonic energy in Ji Hongchen's body to someone else? As for who to transfer to? Apart from Ji Hongchen, the only person present was himself. Call. Suliang took a deep breath and became firm. Even if you do this, you will die here. But at least, my ladies and Ji Hongchen are safe. Furthermore, how could I die here? I still have to go back to be with my ladies. Suliang's expression immediately became determined. Bring it on. Muttering softly to himself, Suliang put his palm in front of Ji Hongchen. Immediately. With the Taoist magic operating naturally, and with the help of Minghai Giwen Jin, he actually stirred up the demonic energy that almost swallowed Ji Hongchen and instilled it towards him. Just for a moment, Suliang felt that his mind was not clear. Under the influence of the demonic energy, the inner demon seemed to take shape quickly, constructing illusions one after another, trying to confuse Suliang into them. At the same time, the whispering sound seemed to be louder, overlapping and endless, ringing in Suliang's ears, trying to make him give up resistance and fall. Go away, how could I possibly fall like this? Suliang said in a deep voice, and once again increased the operation of Deifiziren and Minghai Giwen Jin. Puff. In just a moment, Suliang almost vomited and suffered heavy injuries. It can be said. At this moment, he was already extremely fragile. Even the last time he faced the transcendent Zime with his immortality realm cultivation, he had never been so severely injured. But isn't it just an injury? Suliang said it doesn't matter, as long as he can survive, any injury will be healed. And with Suliang's actions, Ji Hongchen's eyelids trembled, and he actually woke up. You are. Ji Hongchen blinked, still feeling a little confused. Hey, I'm awake. Suliang forced a smile. Did you sleep well this time? Ji Hongchen shook his head, pondered for a moment, and recalled everything he had experienced before he fell into coma. Immediately, she suddenly raised her head and looked at Suliang in front of her, her pretty face a little pale. Of course I'm saving you. Suliang said matter-of-factly. It seems that he is not aware of his own condition at all. You don't need to save me, get out of here. Ji Hongchen was a little anxious. She still remembered that the reason why she did not let the demon species explode at the last moment was because of Suliang's existence. But who would have thought that Suliang would rush forward to save himself? You can't even move now, so stop showing off. Suliang chuckled lightly. Also, don't make me laugh, okay? I've already worked hard enough. Do you know that you will die if you do this? Ji Hongchen seemed completely shocked and said in a dull tone. Of course I know. Suliang nodded. Then why are you still? If I want to save you, why do I need so many reasons? Suliang shook his head. Besides, I don't want to die here. I have ladies to accompany me. If I can't go back, ladies will be angry. You. Ji Hongchen was speechless for a moment, as if he didn't know what to say. Save me, don't you need a reason? But there are countless people in this world who want me to die, and many of them are even people in the devil's path. In order to save me, you are willing to sacrifice yourself. Ji Hongchen thought about this kind of person. He seems to have never met him before, right? That's right, I have always been called the representative of bad omens. Even if it is a demon, I just tremble under my powerful strength. How could anyone want to save him? It's just him, right? This moment. In the past few days, the warmth, happiness, relaxation, and other feelings that were completely different from usual emerged in Ji Hongchen's heart one by one. The phantom of being rejected for 3 lifetimes gradually appeared before her eyes. Finally. But they were all broken and gathered into the Suliang he is today. Yes. The most important thing is him in front of you. The fate of 3 lives is nothing more than fate. Only the person in front of him is the one he has been waiting for so far. After 3 lifetimes of accumulation of fate, he finally came to her. Oh, you want to sacrifice yourself to save me, but I don't want you to do it. How could I let you die in front of me? But anyway, thank you. Ji Hongchen murmured softly, his eyes gradually shining. It's just some demonic energy, and you want me to become a demon, how is that possible? While talking, Ji Hongchen stood up slowly bit by bit, and the chains condensed by demonic energy were rattling at this moment, with vague signs of breaking. Crush it for me. With a soft drink, Ji Hongchen burst out with a powerful impact, which actually shattered all the iron chains. Suliang, on the other hand, was also blown away by this sudden explosion. His vision went dark and he almost fell into coma. But with the impact of this force, Suliang actually expelled all the demonic energy from his body. At the same time, the true energy that had previously been suppressed by the demonic energy circulated rapidly, and with a soft click, the barrier between the realm of immortality and the realm of transcendence was instantly shattered. A powerful wave rose from Suliang's body. At this moment, he had officially achieved transcendence and reached the pinnacle of this world.